when we are live, Josh, and we'll be good. Oh, cool.
Great.
Well, hello everyone. This is another broadcast from the American Ricci Mahjong League. I am Tucker, aka Ennui. Our game is being broadcast tonight by Josh. Thank you very much, Josh. And I am joined by Nathanael. How you doing?
Doing great. And wow, we're already into the game, and this is looking like it's going to be a fantastic one in our B2 pool. Starting dealer is Yoshi, and this is looking like a great starting dealer hand. We've already got Peiko built in the Pinzu and potential Pinfu to follow. Well, this is Tempai right now, so we'll see if we declare reach or wait a little bit.
Reach.
Reach is the decision. So Shampoo wait, 4-mon, 6-so.
Would you have called this Ricci, or would you have waited for an improvement?
I absolutely love Pinfu. It's my favorite hand, one of my favorite hands in the game, along with Sanshoku. So I really want an improvement here, but I cannot fault a reach. Your dealer, you've got value with the Peiko. You can just take the reach and put the pressure on.
Yeah, that pure double sequence with the 567 567 peen does make it to where you can win without calling Ricci. So it's not like you're giving up the ability to win. Although with the 8-so already in your discards, there might be a consideration that, the improvement you might end up drawing first is the 7-so, which would put you Furiton even though you gain the Pinfu.
Yeah, very good point. If you were to draw that 7-so, then you'd be technically waiting on the 5-8-so, and waiting on a tile that you've already discarded means you can't win if someone else was to discard it. You'd have to draw it yourself. So that is a bit weak, and perhaps another reason why we saw the Ricci.
And
As
looking
it
around
is, yeah, a few tiles had been discarded by the dealer, and it took all the way until that 5-mon before we would have seen an improvement. So probably made the right choice.
Yeah, on the left, it looks like Riley probably has the hand closest to fighting here. I mean, they could open on a red dragon on a tune discard the 4-so, and then have a 3-sided wait. Oh, they draw a 7-peen, which deals in. Well, who is that? That is a pair wait for Alec across the table from dealer. It cannot win though, since no Ricci was called.
Yeah, so
Sumo.
Alec had the opportunity to discard. Oh, well, it's a Sumo instead. Ricci, Sumo, Peiko with 5-6-7 double sequence, and 2,000 all for Yoshi. Good start.
Yeah, you always love, like, when you're first dealer, I always feel a little bit of weight because you're starting things off. You have no momentum yet, but to get that first win and to immediately go into a repeat is a very nice way to try and set the tone for the rest of the match.
Yeah, and we've got, well, also a really good starting hand as well. This is looking to make another Tanya Pinfu type hand. Tanya being all simples, and Pinfu being that weird hand where you're making all sequences in a pair that doesn't have any, that wouldn't make any value as a set.
A pair that wouldn't make any value as a set is basically any terminal, simple, or guest wind. The Yakuhai wins, so in this round, East, and the dragons are what you cannot have as pairs. And we should note that the Dora is the green dragon, the Hatsu. You can almost lose the Haku Dora indicator tile with these very, very pretty. Would you call this a light purple or a light pink tile set we have?
Yeah, I'm thinking light pink here. And well, we see an early call and the Dora discarded. The call is across the table. On Alec's side of things, the east wind is the round wind, so that will be value for Alec, who is one tile away from Tempai now. And the Dora discard was from the left. It looks like
That's
that hand's also very close.
Yeah, Riley is also one away. Yeah, calling this doesn't really help the hand because you'd have to get rid of that 1-mon, so you can't really advance. And Dealer, as you pointed out, started off with very nice shapes and a hand that could go towards some good value, but has had trouble drawing in useful tiles.
Yeah, I've been stuck with some pretty poor draws so far, but that's changing. This is a good start. One tile away from Tempai now. A little bit stuck with this 1-2 shape, and Tempai across the table it's Alec who is looking for the 4 or 7 pin for East only. So just 1,000 points plus the Homba. Opportunity to switch the rate here, but that doesn't really help things. So we'll just hang on to things the way they are.
Yeah, there are still four, 4 and 7 peen left in the wall, so a lot of opportunities for Alec to sumo. However, the 4 and 7 peen that we see in people's hands currently are being used. So at the moment, none of these 4 and 7 peen are likely to come out. So they can build their hands in relative safety, at least for a moment here.
Yeah, there was a decision on the left for Riley after drawing that 7. You have a nice 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shape that can accept 3 tiles for tempi, but you've already discarded the 8, and so then there's the chance that you could end up fruity 10. As it is, discarding this way allows you to potentially make an Ipeco 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in the Manzu. Uh-oh,
How? Ooh,
that 7 pin doesn't fit the hand, so we might see that come
1、
out soon. But first, it's Ricci
妻、
from the right, and a sumo by Alec pulls in the 7 just in time. And it's a Ricci stick donation from Molly on the right, in
which is
addition to
incredibly
the hand.
unfortunate because Molly called reach there with Pinfu, all simples, mixed triple sequence.
Oh, it's a
And
beautiful
so with
hand.
yeah, with the reach there, it was Mongon minimum and could be a sumo on could be a Hanuman on a sumo. So you always feel bad when you call such a high value hand and it just immediately gets stolen from you.
We're looking at things here. It's Molly who's dealer, a little bit down, but definitely not now. We're only in East 2, and this is not a bad starting hand. You could be making Pihu here, or even in Itsu in the Sozu. You do have a Dora 7 pin, so this hand could be expensive. To the right, we've got an Uncle of the North Wind. That's a completed set of 3 of the same tile. And, well, some good shapes around the table could even think about working your way towards a Sanshoku even in the middle of the tiles, perhaps a 4 or 5, 6 in each set if you draw the correct tiles. And across the table, this is really close to Tempai, Ishan 10 in fact, 1 tile away, including a Dora 7, but it's just going to be Ricci Dora probably. And on the left, there's that pair of the red dragon, as well as another door in hand. So the door seems to be getting spread around evenly here.
Oh, and now we have a one, two, three, four, fifth pair come into Yoshi's hand. So this might end up going towards a Cheetoy, a 7 pairs hand. Once you get 5 pairs, you are one away from being able to call Tenpai on that. But with the red dragons, with the Chun, and with that completed 5, 6, 7 block that incorporates the Dora,
1、
it could still be normal. Although the dealer is going to call the Ricci first, waiting on the 3-so and 6-so. That 3-3-4-5 shape is called an Adionman shape, where you've got the 4-5 waiting on 2 tiles on either side, the 3 and the 6. And technically, when you make that draw, it will force the
1、
3-so to be your pair either way. But it is still considered a side weight for the purposes of pin. So that's a nice little shape to see appear in your hand.
Yeah, we've got a chasing reach across the table. It's Riley who finally found Tempai, and it's Ricci waiting on the 2 pin and 6-so. This is technically a Shanpong weight, meaning a double pair weight, although we can see the 6-so is a set of 3, so there's actually only 1 tile remaining, and that 1 tile is in the left hand, Yoshi's hand, that's 6-so. It's a little bit of an awkward reach. If you had waited a little bit, that 1 pin could have been used in hand to make a potential Itsu, uh, a straight 1 through 9 in the Pinzu.
Yeah. Well, and also that shape and so that 5, 6, 6, 7. I think I said enough sixes. That 5, 6, 6, 7 is called a nakabukure, and that's a very nice shape to have if you want to change your hand. Because drawing an 8-so, 7-so, 5-so, or 4-so would all end up giving you side weights. They would all give you Ryanman. As it is, though, this hand's just going to exhaustive, and nobody's going to be able to cash in on it.
So it is Molly and Riley, both Tempai at the end will earn 1,500 points for their troubles, and will fight again in East 2, first repeat. And this hand is not looking quite so good for Molly. There is a great number of lone honor tiles floating around. So we'll see if Molly can pair one of those up, particularly the East Wind, although it looks like that one's getting discarded.
Yeah, no, but Yoshi started off with a very nice hand on the left. Has already called the Haku, had four pairs in hand, all of which were either in So or with the White Dragon that has already been called. So that hand could very quickly become a Honitsu, a half flush.
Yeah, a call now for Molly, who's trying to fight back with Tanya. Uh, all simples, middle tiles will be called here, if at all possible. We might
Oh
see
yeah,
some middle tiles leaving Yoshi's hand because it looks like he's looking to keep the Sozu tiles, which means Manzu and Pinzu might come out, or just draw it yourself. That 5-pin is a great addition.
yeah. And two things I'd like to point out about how Yoshi just discarded there. Yoshi has not discarded the 7 pin yet, and that is because, or well, my theory would be when you are discarding all of these Mon tiles, now that the So tile, now that the 5 So has been pawned, that kind of gives the game away. But before that 5 So pawn, when all you've discarded is Manzu, even though everyone around the table guesses you're going for a flush hand, nobody knows in which suit. So waiting to discard that 7 pin until all of the Mon have been discarded is a really clever way to get people to still feed into your hand before they realize which suit you're going for. Although we have a tempi from Molly now waiting on the 5 So and 8 So, and the 8 So not going to come out since it's a part of that nice shape that we mentioned before.
Well, on the left, Yoshi called the 3 So and now is tempi for the same weight, 5 and 8,
Ooh,
and
could change here. Yep.
swaps it up. Now you have Toy Toy in addition to your Honitsu and Haku. So this is going to be a Mangan.
Oh
Onto the Focus
no.
Con. Con,
Oh, it's a
and it's
con.
going to
No,
seal in. Ring
it's
Chan
no,
robbing the Con.
robbing the con. Chan con.
Oh, yeah, Chan Con, not Ring Chan. But that's Tanya and the extra value from the Chan Con. So this is what a pickup for Molly, and so unfortunate for Yoshi, who had been waiting on that discard, swapped to the what would have been a better weight, and then drew the 5 So. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
incredibly. I mean, Chankan is a Yaku that you see so infrequently. I mean, even with all of the 3 player that I play, I've still probably seen less than 5 Chankans in over 1,500 Hanchan. Like it, that is a rare Yaku.
I'm not sure I've ever won with Chan Kan, even though I've played for like at least 6 years. I don't think I've ever won with one. So what an exciting hand. And Molly with a quick call of the Chun, the red dragon. Now one tile away from Tempai.
Has a lot of pair options here. Can turn the 5 mon into the pair. Can turn the green dragon, the Hatsu, into the pair. Although obviously you'd prefer to get some more value out of that green dragon. Do have the Dora fight. Well now, oh well, that
Had
was
the
an interesting
option.
decision.
Yeah.
Would you have made the same call there?
I think with Chundor 1, I'm happy with 2900, but I'm even more happy with calling the Green Dragon as well. I actually like the decision because the Manzu shape looks really nice, and you could draw yourself back into Tempai, you could draw another door, and look at this. Now you're fighting for 5,800 points instead of the 2,900 points before, and with a great shape too. The weight otherwise would have been you'd have a 5 So and a 7 So winning on just a 6. That's really awkward. So not only do you improve the weight, you also improve your value with this decision. I really like the play.
Yeah, so kudos to Molly on that one. I would not have had the bravery to do that myself. I definitely would have just gone for it. And there's the sumo. There's the reward.
2,000 L plus any Homba. And, well, Molly's pulled out ahead. Everyone below 30,000 except for Molly, who now has
Oh boy,
38,900.
and look at this hand.
Pair of the East Wind, which would be double Yaku High, she is in the East seat. Also, pair of Chun, which gets called immediately. And you could even think about making Honitsu and the Manzu here half flush.
There's the East.
So this hand's already worth a lot of points. Do you fully commit by dropping the Pinzu here, or do you sort of shade towards the cheaper hand, shades a little bit with the Green Dragon, so it has the ability to call the 4 pin and make a cheaper hand. It's still going to be worth quite a few points, though. Already 3 Han showing on the table.
The problem right now is no pair.
Yeah, and for that reason, there might be a little bit more incentive to discard the Pinzu because, well, you have enough shapes to make Honitsu. You just need to call 2 or 5 mon and then get the 7 mon, and then you can wait on the white dragon or that 1 mon for your pair. Of
Yeah,
course, there's a number of other ways that this could happen, but
yeah.
we also see
And
Molly hanging out to the east.
holding off on calling the con, perhaps until Tempai, or perhaps saving that east tile as a pushable safe tile for later. Around the table, the hand nobody else has made near as much
Come!
progress as Molly has, but with that pawn of the 7 peen, Alec is taking a good step forward.
Has
It's
2 Dora 3, so
and is holding on to this green dragon, is really concerned about safety against the dealer here. Whenever the dealer has 3 Han showing, you start to be a lot more concerned. And we don't see that green dragon come out of hand until Alec gets the very good 4 or 5 shape in the Manzu.
yeah, 1 tile away from Tempai now for Tanyao Dora 2. And
An
well,
incredibly wide Tempai.
mm, probably would be a bit problematic if you draw the 9 so, but fortunately 2 of those have already been discarded.
Well, that hand has such wide acceptance, even if you draw the 9 so, you can just flat out reject that Tempai and you'll almost certainly be good. You have so many options in the so tiles that even if the 4 or 5 Mon shape completes first, you can make it to where you're not waiting on a 9 so if you so choose.
That's right. Could even potentially call the 3rd Dora if a 3 so was discarded and make a Mangan out of this. See, the hand across the table still with a couple floaters, but here's the 3 so. What will Molly do?
Kang.
Con?
Oh, and that completes the 3 4 5.
And chooses to hang on to it, so might be holding onto the door to pair up and keep as your, well, potential future pair. So that's what we're missing right now in this hand the most.
Oh, and this 3 4 5 6
Gee.
shape is one of the best shapes that you can have. It's the Nobiton shape. If it's your final weight, then you wait on the 3 peen and 6 peen. But as it is right now, I mean that's kind of how it's being used effectively. But we do see now the Champon 3 so 7 so weight for Alec on the right.
Yeah, the double pair weight was an interesting choice, and now decision for Molly chooses the
Oh,
door weight, which was perfect. The 3 so would have dealt in had she chosen the wider 3 pin, 6 pin weight.
yeah, would have dealt into a Mongon and instantly lost her lead. But as
Very
it
smart
is, has a
play.
very dangerous hand to whack somebody else with.
Yeah, so where's the last 3 so? Looks like the 7 so are locked up in people's hands.
Oh, the 5 so doesn't look good either, but it's not Dora.
Looking at the calls, you'd expect Alk might possibly need Sozu. For also not looking good, but you've got a dealer Mongon, you might as well push it.
Yeah, and
Play the
Molly is in such a hard position here. Just keeps on drawing tiles that look absolutely horrifying to Alex.
really between these players, there's only one winning tile left in the wall.
Yeah,
We
and
see a cross.
the other two players. Oh, well, there's another
There
three
it
so,
is.
but that's integrated into the hand.
Yeah, beautifully. Uh-oh. Playing
Yeah,
safe. So
yep. Yoshi just folding, so definitely not going to come out.
we saw South come out across. Well, the first South came out. And assuming the second one will as well from Riley. So it looks like both of the other players recognizing the danger. You don't want to deal into the dealer hand, obviously, and the hand on the right could have the Dora. Would not be a good deal in. So
Yeah,
not
no Dora 3 so are visible to anybody. And actually, I forgot about the 2 so is now Dora after the con. Although we can see one of those in the discard, but only one in the discard and one as a Dora indicator tile. So, I mean, currently there are 6 Dora invisible to you, and when you don't have red 5s, not being able to 6 Dora is a pretty clear danger sign.
indeed. Well, 3 more draws remain. Looks like we're heading to Yukioku, to exhaustive draw. As long as everyone can find the proper safe tiles.
The final 3 so very nimbly staying in Yoshi's hand. So no horrific double Rons here, which is very good for Yoshi. But we're going into our 4th repeat now.
And well, looking at the hands, the Dora is the 5-so, and Molly has one of those. The rest of the shapes aren't really good except for the 5, 6, 7 shape in the Pinzu. So we'll need to work on that. And you'll notice Molly discarding the 1, 2 pin instead of the honor tiles, hoping to pair one of those up and be able to make a callable hand that's a little bit faster. I'm really
Riley across
liking the
the
decision
table,
making.
and then and then Riley across the table has a very nice looking hand. That 3, 4, 5, 7 shape in the Monzu is beautiful. Has a pair of the Dora 5, so as you were talking about being important in this hand.
So
That's we actually see all of the Dora already.
yeah, we see one in the hand on the right, across the table, hoping for Ricci Pinfudora too, and the hand on the right looks like another attempt at a Pinfu type hand, and on the left we've got potential Itsu or a straight in the Pinzu, trying to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You still need a couple tiles for that, and
Oh,
call
we see a
for
call
Molly.
here.
Yeah, we saw her decide to discard the 1, 2, and then the honor tiles, and now fully committing to Tanyao Dora 1. Well, wants more Dora, but is unlikely to get it, given that the remaining ones are in others' hands.
Oh, there's a Damaten Tempai from Riley across the table. Has Dora 2 and Pinfu. If they are able to win on the 5 mon, they would also have a pure double sequence for the Ipeco.
Interesting choice to choosing Damaten, not reaching or declaring Ricci.
I don't know about this. I guess the 2 mon 5 mon wait is probably concerning. If you want to get the Mongon via a Ron, that you're not likely to for anybody to deal the 5 mon in once you've called Ricci. That might be part of the thinking here. But if you call Ricci, you get Ron on Sumo.
Oh, Molly had the chance to take Tempai. It would have been a Furiten Tempai waiting for the 6 mon. She ended up drawing it again, but I can't blame her for not accepting it at the time.
This is that's something that I think, obviously Furitin is not a good position to be in, but it's not always wrong to be in Furitin. Like
Yeah.
Furitin is obviously hard to deal with, but if you think that enough of your tiles are out and able to be won on, it's still good to do that if
Yeah.
it's the most likely hand to win.
In this case, she had the 5, 6, 6, 7 shape, which is a really great shape that can accept another Dora. And it makes sense to not accept Fujita in that situation, especially when your only winning tile is the left side of the 7, 8 shape, the 6 mon. As it is, there's also a Tempai on the right for just the 7 pin and not wanting to declare reach, hoping for a better weight.
Well, and the Dama across the table for Riley changed as well. Drew in the 6-so, shifted that hand to Tanyao. So this is all simples, Pinfu, Dora 2. I feel like
リーチ
when that 6-so came into the hand, I feel like I certainly would have called Ricci since a sumo gets you Hanuman.
Yeah, it's a matter of perspective. Right now, Dama will guarantee
Wrong.
Mangan. And the 2 does come out, unfortunately, from the right, from Alex's perspective, who had just found a Ricci waiting for the 6-9, found that weight upgrade. That does deal into the Mangan. So it is now East 3, and Alex dealership trying to make back some of those points. Not a bad starting hand, though. You've got a 7, 8, 9 already completed in the Manzu, 7, 8 shape in the Pinzu as well, and some reasonable shapes in the Sozu. So you can make a hand out of this. To the
And can
right, this
accept
looks
the Dora 5-mon.
well, that's a really good point. The hand on the right can do that as well. And now that you've paired up the Red Dragon, you can even call this hand for a slightly cheaper option, as it looks a little bit slow without that call. So you might see the tune come out, and when it does, probably a call as well. Across the table is a lot of Manzu tiles, which with one Dora, and some awkward shapes elsewhere. And the hand on the left has been progressing quickly with calls. Calls the North Wind, which is Yakuhai. It is the seat wind for Molly. And looking to make Chanta on top of that. Oh no, not
Well,
Chanta. That's the 5, 6, 7 was called. So just hoping to make anything.
yeah, Chanta being a half outside hand where you have a terminal or honor in every sequence. And I actually was thinking that this was a hard push for Chanta as well until I noticed
Gee.
that 5, 6, 7 didn't have a terminal in it. I actually can't count the number of times I've done that as a player at the table as well, like trying to go for a hand and forgetting about one of my calls.
Yeah, definitely remember the tiles you called. But it can be very easy to forget that. What is the dealer going to do here? There's potential for Sanshoku now. Mixed triple sequence in 7, 8, 9. If you can draw the 9 so and the 9 pin, unfortunately, 2 9 pins already discarded.
Yeah, this is a beautiful shape. Alec is now perfect
Yeet.
one away, perfect Ishanten, where you have one pair, one Rionman, and then one Rionman pair, and is now Tempai, so could
Yeet.
immediately chase the Ricci. Yes, and does is a a Rionman weight on the 6 peen and 9 peen, and then the weight across the table for Yoshi is the 2 so and 5 so for Ricci Pinfu.
Yeah, across the table, a little bit more value because you have the Pinfu and you have the Dora tile in hand. So reach Pinfu Dora. Oh, but draws the 9 pin, and that will deal into our dealer. Richi no Ura Dora, but this is 2,000 points and another dealership, importantly.
Yeah, and closing that gap with third place is huge. Being the difference between 3,000 points and 7,000 on your mental state is pretty significant. And that draw was a good draw to start this hand.
Yeah, look at this. This has 2 Dora 8 pin in hand, and so you could be looking to just call your way to Tanyao Dora 2 or even 3, which would be a significant boost to your score. On the right, you've got the Haku pair, the White Dragon pair, rather.
Boom.
Called immediately, and we'll see a quick hand developing there. Across the table, a lot of Manzu tiles. We'll see if Yoshi chooses to go for Chinitsu, because it looks like he's discarding all the honor tiles. There are reasonable shapes, potential for reasonable shapes elsewhere, so perhaps just looking to make a standard Ricci hand, but with that many of one suit, you got to have that in the back of your head that maybe the possibility for a full flush is there.
Yeah, both Riley and Yoshi though taking moves away from the half flush. Riley completed the 7, 8, 9 so shape and discarded the 7 so, which could have been a side weight with the 6, 7, but is leaving the 6 so as a part of the 2, 4, 6 Ryoncon shape. Likes those pin shapes a little bit too much to commit to the half flush. And similarly, right after we made the comment, Yoshi discarded the 1 mon, perhaps forcing that hand towards all simples to try and make that Dora useful.
Yeah, and our dealer also 1 tile away from Tenpai now. Tenpai
Oh,
now with this draw of the 7 so, and you probably drop the 6 pin because you want to be able to wait on Dora, and there's a chance to, or you don't want to have to discard the Dora rather, and there's a chance for 12,000 here.
yeah, this is a Dora that I also would take. Not a Dora. That's wrong. A Dama. This is a Dama that I also would take. I never expect someone to drop Dora into my Ricci. I expect people to push against my Ricci, but dropping Dora into my Ricci, I mean, people are so good at working around their hands. Oh, that's an improvement for Riley on the right. That
Oh,
5
but
so, you can now drop the 2 so and have a 3, 6 weight, but it would be Furton. Elects not to do that.
feels bad when you have the 2, 4, 6. You get Tenpai, you drop the 6, wait on the 3, when you could have selected the other weight, but in this case, choosing the Tsuji type weight instead, unfortunately backfires a little bit. And now you can call this 2 pin in weight on a Tanki, single pair
Boom.
weight. Chooses the 4 so.
And here's a question for you actually. With in that same situation, when you have that 2, 4, 6, the Rian Khan weight, where you have 2 middle weights, and your hand is open, you've called twice. Do you also tend to take the Suji weight, where you discard
Sumo.
the 6 and wait on the 3?
Oh my, Sumo. Yes, frequently. So when you're open, it's a little bit more difficult because you're not declaring reach and announce to other players that you're Tenpai, where they might trust Suji. But even in open hands, if players are paying attention to the fact that you might be Tenpai, they could look at what tiles are safe to you for and use Suji to do so. And so a lot of times I will take that choice.
Boom.
However, if you're playing with red 5s, there are some times when you want to choose the 5, so wait there in the hopes of drawing a little bit extra value. Now, that isn't the case for this legal course, so it does make sense.
And Molly, already perfect one away with 2 Dora in hand, can get to Tempai on the 1-so, 4-so, South, 5-mon, 7-mon, 4-mon, a lot of options. Although, might not want to get to Tempai with the 4-mon or 7-mon since the 5-mon is Dora, and you'd really rather have as many of those in hand as possible, especially since you've opened on the West. Yeah,
That's
is
full commitment.
cementing the 5-mon as being either a pair or triple.
Yeah, with 1 South discarded, you'd expect if anyone else was to draw it, it would be discarded pretty much immediately. So really banking on that happening or drawing another Dora.
Well, and with that 4, 5, 6, 7 peen shape, that Nobiton stretched shape, you also might be able to drop the South. I don't think I'd drop a South with the 7 peen draw, and neither does Molly choose to. But if you draw the 6 peen, 5 peen, 3 peen, or 8 peen, you have very wide acceptance and side weights, which makes getting rid of the Souths perhaps more efficient, but gets the chi on the 1-so and is now Tempai waiting on the Dora 5-mon or the South, which, as you said, is very likely to come out of anyone's hand, because it is not the South round yet.
Maybe a little bit of trouble for Riley as dealer. Has the Dora 5-mon in hand, but it doesn't fit yet. And as the shapes become more and more solidified, you might see it come out.
God, this is an awkward shape. 1,
Whoa.
4 3s, and then a 5.
Chose to con the 3s.
What would you have done with that shape? I mean, it's so awkward in so many ways. I guess you think of it as a triplet of 3s and then a 1, 3, 5 to Yankan.
That's exactly how I would think about it. And well, if you do think about it that way, then it seems efficient to discard the Dora, which would have dealt in. So this con decision almost helps Riley out. The other thing you could do is perhaps just drop one side of that 1, 3, 5 shape and hope to draw around the Dora. And that looks like what Riley wants to do here.
The new Dora after that con is the 9-so, which there are 2 in Alex's hand. Is Alex Tempai? Because of 3-sided Tempai weight on the 2-mon, 5-mon, and 8-mon. I didn't even notice.
And now declares Ricci, so we would have noticed that for sure.
Oh, that's a dangerous hand. Oh no!
You can drop South, but instead chooses to maintain Tempai, and this deals in Ricci, Hatsu. We have Piku as well as 3 Dora. This is Hanemon, and 2 Ura Dora makes that a Baimon.
Oh god!
Oh, this
what a
changes
reversal!
drastically.
God, 400 points in first now, and that drops Molly all the way to just 400 points away from last place.
Oh, that's such a shame. Molly was Tempai for so long and thought that it was worth hanging on to that Dora weight. Fortunately, the 2-mon was exactly what Riley needed.
Yeah, that's one of those push-fold decisions that's very, very hard to judge for Molly. Someone has called Ricci. They likely have a very good hand, and the chances of Uradora have gone up since there's a con. But you have a Mongon on one side of your way and a very nice 3-Han hand on the other side. That's a hard one to fold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have 2 tiles of safety to start with, but then after that, you've called twice already, and it's so difficult to defend with so few tiles in your hand. Well, it looks like there's an early call on the left for Riley. Haku with 2 Dora 8-pin in hand, so hoping to make 3,900 with White Dragon Dora 2, or even a Mongon if you can get the 3rd Dora tile. For dealer, this is a hand that is 1 tile away from Tempai, but there's no value here outside of just declaring Ricci without a little bit of hand maneuvering. And perhaps you can work your way towards Tanyao now, choosing to keep the 4-6 shape instead of the 1-2 shape. But to the right, we see a Ricci. For Ricci, Tanyao, Dora, waiting on the 2-5-mon. The Dianmen weight looks good here, especially after having discarded a pair of
and this
from hand.
Tempai for the dealer now, chasing with the 3-6-mon weight.
And that is danger suit.
Yeah, both of these hands are hands that at first glance look like they are Pinfu hands, but since they have triplets, they are not considered no points hands because triplets are worth points.
Oh,
Oh, and the
Don't.
two-mon comes out.
a shame for Yoshi, but you had to reach there as dealer and fight. Unfortunately, that's 5,200 points coming back to Molly. So fighting back after that Baimon deal-in, now in third place over 30,000 points.
As a matter of fact, we have 3 players over 30,000 points now, so it's Yoshi's #1 objective before even getting into third, and then eventually second and first is going to be dragging someone down below 30k. And they're all pretty close, so a Mongon would bring basically anybody under.
Yeah, it looks like Molly here with a pretty reasonable starting hand. There was an outside chance at making the Itsu or the straight in the Manzu, but it looks like it's probably going to be more of a standard Pinfu hand and trying to make use of that Dora 9 so. Probably see Molly hanging out with that for a while. To the right, a quick call of the Hatsu, the green dragon, also trying to make use of the Dora, so perhaps going to make a 2,000 point hand. Across the table, it's Riley who's got a pair of the red dragon. Couldn't tell if they had that at the very start of the round and passed up the first call or is waiting, but there are really nice shapes here and even a bunch of pairs. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 7 pairs Ishanten, 1 tile away for 7 pairs. On the left, we've got, well, looks like a very normal hand. We're trying to make Pinfu here. Unfortunately, no Dora to accompany the tiles. And there's the second tune. That's called by Riley.
Yeah, I think perhaps even though this hand is a hand that can go for Chitoy for that 7 pairs, you have so many shapes that you can call Chi on as well as Pawn that they might be thinking that it'll be quicker to get to Tenpai just turning the engines on full blast and taking every tile that they are given.
Speaking of Tenpai, look to the right. It's Alec who's found the 5-8 so wait for Hatsu Dora 1.
Chi.
And there's a Chi for Riley, so 1 step closer. And to Tenpai, here's an 8 so for Molly, choosing not to discard it just yet. We've got that Nobetan shape again, 5, 6, 7, 8. When you're looking for a pair, that's a really great shape.
Well, in this case, really needs the pair to come in the form of that 5 so or 8 so, otherwise is likely to deal in.
Oh, look at this discard, choosing the 5 pin, which is slightly less efficient, but for the reason that you can make a 6, 7, 8 Sanshoku here. 6, 7, 8 in each of the 3 suits would be 2 extra Han if she can draw it herself.
Oh, what a beautiful dodge by Yoshi on the left. Just discarded the Dora 9 so after drawing the useless 7 peen and very nimbly avoids dealing in. That was absolutely but it might come out now. God, that's such a great play. What's going to happen?
Oh,
Yes.
it is Suji, and it does come out. Well, Riley had found Tenpai with another call and wins the 1,000 points here. Move to East 3. It's going to be Alex dealership. That was well played, though, by Yoshi to delay that as long as possible.
Yeah, and totally understandable again to see that Suji and then be like, okay, this is safe to take the Tenpai with now.
It is Alex dealership with 2 Dora to start. This is not bad. You can work your way towards Nathanael here, perhaps. A 3rd Dora drawn in, and now you're looking really good. You're going to fight for everything almost.
Yeah, I feel like I would discard the 1 so here to try and get to the Tanya that I can call more swiftly.
And that's exactly what Alec does. To the right, we see a fairly standard hand here, probably going to make Tanyao as well, or a Pinfu. Across the table, we have that pair of white dragons. So Yoshi in 4th place here in South 3 doesn't really want to call this for just 1,000 points. So we might see the even this last white dragon, as one has already been discarded, we might not even see a call there, as Yoshi really wants to make Richi. And we might even see that pair discarded to go for, to add Tanyao on top of everything.
Yeah, that hand is going to be so hard to get value from. I mean, it almost seems like 7 pairs is it's horribly inefficient, but
Yeah,
that hand's just really struggling to get the value that Yoshi needs.
you've drawn a 4th pair, so that's a start. And on the left, there's already an Anko green dragon in hand. So It really feels good to have a complete set right at the beginning of a round. There's a chance here for Chanta as well. It seems to be that's where Molly is aiming, trying to build a hand that can overtake Alec and Riley. Of course, we saw Alec with the 3 doors just wants to call middle tiles. So if Molly keeps discarding these middle tiles, we might see some progress made on Alec's end. Fortunately, nothing that Alec needs has come out just
Each.
yet. And it's actually Riley who finds Tenpai first, declares Ricci with Pinfu, waiting on the 5-8 so. Looks like there are 4 of those tiles left in the wall, 3 5 so and 1 8 so.
Chi.
And there's a tile that Alec can use. This is Tenpai waiting on the 6 pin for Tanyao Dora 3. That would be 12,000 points. And Yoshi probably wants to play defensively. Same for Molly.
Yeah,
after the Ricci.
We can only see 1 6-peen right now. So there are 3 6-peen left in the wall for Alec to draw.
And now that an 8 so has been drawn by Yoshi, it's now 3 versus 3. So what will come out first, the 5 so or the 6 pin?
Yeah, this Chanta, this half outside hand for Molly being abandoned now, discarding the triple of Hatsu to avoid dealing in.
Makes sense. You want to stay over 30,000 if you can, and if either Alec or Riley deals into the other, then you're safe. Oh no, this 5 so doesn't fit the hand, and it does come out from Alex, so far just reaching Pinfu. But we check Uda, none found. 2,000 points, plus you get to retain your Ricci stick, and we move to the ever important all last hand.
Oh my god. I kind of want to jump right back to Alex's hand, though. You deal into that 2,000 point hand. You're now 4,600 behind dealer, but you've been given a pretty good hand to fight with. You have a pair of Souths, which are Yaku High, and a pair of Green Dragons, which are Yaku High. So this is a hand that you might be able to get some value with, even open, especially if you're able to pull some So tiles into hand and make that a half flush, a Honitsu.
Yeah, when you start with 3 sets of honor pairs, you're definitely thinking, can I make Honitsu out of this? And with a pair of 2 so, in addition to tiles that are kind of close to the Dora 8 so, you could make a Mangan out of this fairly easily with the right draws. Speaking
And
of
dealer's
draws,
hand isn't great for fighting with.
yeah, we haven't seen a draw, and I don't think the dealer was thinking too much about this tile. So perhaps we have one of those Tenho freezes. We'll probably need to get a quick refresh in. And we'll see how the hands have developed. Well, we see calls. Honitsu on the right, 9 pin, so is paired up and called. And the West has come out. That's not the Yakuhai tile that you're looking for, but Honitsu plus Yakuhai.
Plus
with
all triplets, plus Toy Toy.
With triplets, yeah, so that would be Mangan.
I mean, if you draw a White Dragon, you could even switch to Honroto, which is all terminals and honors, which is an absolutely massive hand. Oh, it's now Tenpai waiting on the Souths and the Greens. Oh, that's deadly. But those are very dangerous tiles. I do wonder if anybody's likely, discarding that 1 so. I guess that early 5 so drop is making players a little bit less wary than maybe they should be of this very dangerous hand on the left.
Yeah, probably also thinking with the 2 so already called and 1 so already discarded, it's a little harder to use. And while we see Riley pushing Sozu. So Riley's Ishantem, but you don't. Well, the problem is you can't really let Alec win because then he passes you.
You can't let Alec win, but you will win if this goes to exhaustive and you are no 10. There is no situation in which you are no 10 and you lose this hand. But this is Tenpai if Riley drops the 9-mon. Oh, and calls Ricci, waiting on the 3-peen, 6-peen.
You see a lot of those used in hand. In fact, there's only 1 of those tiles left in the wall versus the 3 for Alec. So usually the double pair weight, well, the Shampoo weight does not have as many, but it wins this time, and that's going to be enough to move Alec to first place in the last hand of the game. This also knocks Molly below 30,000, so that will at least save some damage for Yoshi. Uh, Earns 5 points that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And so it is Alec in first place, plus 28.4. Riley second, plus 9. Molly in third with -6. And Yoshi in fourth with -30. And we should have another game starting up fairly soon.
Yeah, that's a big win for Alec. That jumps Alec all the way up into second place. Is still 42 points away from first, so not quite enough to catch up to Carl, whose game we saw streamed, which you and I streamed 2 days ago on
Hmm.
Monday. But so let's see, that really helped out Alec and Riley. Really, Riley got in, kind of just solidified that position in the middle of the positive pack, is sitting at fifth. And then Molly dropped a little bit down to 11th, but is still very much in the neck of things, only sitting at -14 overall. And then Yoshi, that hit is not helping Yoshi. That's a very unfortunate, because Yoshi's hands were looking pretty good at the beginning, but is
Hmm.
now sitting 15th out of 16 in B2B. And there is still so much time left, but you do want to start making the turnaround sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we will. Well, I am kind of curious how that has affected things as far as the standings are concerned. We do see Alec up near the top in third place now,
In
although
second.
second, you're right. And well, Riley will have it increased a little bit there too.
All right, and we already have the next game underway.
Indeed. So who will be our first dealer? It looks like Yoshi again, starting with a nice hand. You've got the Anko of 7 Mon and the good sequence shape in the Pinzu. Lots of Tanyan type tiles. I wonder if we'll see the 1 Mon get discarded here. Instead, it's the 3. So there's also the option for San Anko drawing 3 sets of triplets herself.
Yeah, that's an interesting bet to take. You do have to, with one mon already discarded. I probably would have discarded one of the one mon, leave the ability to accept the two mon, but
Hum.
start moving towards the all simple shape. Would you have chosen the Tanyao direction or the San Anko direction here?
Well, as far as value goes, I think Sun Anko is nice because you also have the option of drawing a 5-so and making Ni Peiko in the Sozu as well. So I do like this call. Unfortunately, it backfires and you would have found Tenpai turn earlier right here, but is that a Tenpai you're really happy with? Maybe not. As you'd be left with an awkward wait. And so really you're just hoping to draw one more closed triplet and declare Ricci. If you do draw something like the 6-pin, or even this 1-pin, you might start to switch away towards a more normal hand. Or you could keep the Sanako chance. In this case, choose the 6 so as one has already been discarded.
Oh, is that call doesn't quite get Alec to Tenpai? Is still one away.
Needs to find a 7-pin really, and
1
you see 2 of those in the hand to left. It's across the table though that finds Tenpai first. Declaring reach is Riley, waiting for the 3-so, and the 6-pin.
And the three so immediately drawn by Yoshi, but Yoshi now tossing the one mon. So having those in hand ended up paying off very much for them. Can kind of just mess around here for not mess around, can dance around this Ricci, can Mawashi,
Mm-hmm.
playing defense while still trying to progress the hand.
Yeah, and this is not bad value for Riley either, as Riley's got the West Wind Anko in hand, and that is the Yakuhai Seat Wind. So Ricci West, plus if you draw it yourself, you're going to get a bunch of extra foo.
Ooh, Alec just reached Empire on the 6 mon, 9 mon.
Boom.
To discard the dangerous 6 bean though, and that does deal in for the Ricci West only.
And with that deal in, you're just left with a 2,600 point hand.
So a quick question. What are the names of all the wins? I know East is Tone.
Hmm.
Okay, west is Sha.
That's right.
North is Pei. That one I know because of 3-player. Our good friend Kita. What's
Hmm.
the south though?
The South cosplays as a delicious bread. It is the naan.
Ah, Nan. I'll never forget it now. Every time I see a South, I'm just gonna see like in my head a very cartoonish fan servicey like dressed up non at like a Comic Con.
Yeah, I always thought the naan sounded so delicious, and I'm a huge fan of South round, South seat. Start with a pair of South wind. I'm feeling super good.
So you would
And
say that's your bread and butter, perhaps?
you might say that. Well, looking at the hands, it's Alec as dealer who's got, well, reasonably good shapes. If you can fill the 5-pin here, you're looking at Pinfu. And to the right, this is also perhaps even better. You've got all the Tanyao tiles on top of it. It's a potential Ipeco as well, if you can draw the 6-pin, in addition to your Pinfu and Tanyao. And across the table, we've got a pair of East Wind, a pair of that South Wind. Uh, well, 4 pairs, but you don't really want to make a pair hand because you've already got that 4-5-6 shape in the Monzu, the 6-7, and the Pinzu. So probably hoping to find Tenpai another way. You also want to incorporate the Dora 8-pin in hand. We see one of those Dora 8-pin in the hand on the left. This hand is Ishan Tem, one tile away from Tenpai, just waiting for the 7-pin and either the Chun or the 9-so. Ideally, you'd get the Chun, of course, the red dragon.
Oh, that was. All right, so we have the Call of the Tomb on here from Alec, which has to be a Tanyao, an all simples push, but discards the 6-pin before discarding the 1-pin. I gotta say, I like pushing that way. And now is Tempai waiting on the 3-so and 6-so and just immediately wins it. That was a very clean sequence of tiles for Alec.
Yeah, recognizing we're getting deep into the second row, maybe I need to speed up my hand a little bit. Makes the call, finds Tenpai immediately, and then gets rewarded. So we'll get another dealer repeat for Alec, who has a pair of green dragons. And we might see another fast hand in this one. To the right, there's one of the green dragons that might leave the hand pretty soon, as there is already a pair of white dragons as well. So perhaps we'll have a duel of the dragons, and there's a Dora 9-so in hand. I wonder if you call this force the door into your hand, assuming that you're going to get the white dragon later.
This is called Atozuke, when you end up with a weight where you're ready to win, but only on some of your tiles. So in this case, if Riley gets to Tempai, waiting, say, Shenpon on the 7-pin and the Haku, the white dragon, the 7-pin would not be a Yaku, and so therefore could not declare a win, but the white dragon would be. It would be Yakuhai. And so that is called Atozuke when you have that sort of weight, and it's something you need to be very careful about. It's not a bad thing necessarily, but you want to be intentional about when you choose to go for it. And having a Dora in hand is a good situation.
Yeah, in this case, it was a Dora in a really awkward shape because you needed the 8, so one is already being used as the Dora indicator, so it's really hard to expect that you're going to find one another way, and chooses to call that. Doesn't have a Yaku now, but is assuming they'll find one later, and that's where the Atozuke comes into play.
Could even get half flush at this point.
Yeah, we see a Pone. Chooses to discard the 3-pin 1-pin, so taking the wider weight. And now the other player should be alert to the fact that this Atozuke is happening because it's really hard to make a Yaku with a 7-8-9-so call and a 7-pin call, set call.
But the white dragon comes out anyway.
Yeah,
And
Alec
Riley
was
will
Ishan
Senpai.
10, so it makes sense that he might push for this, and it's a 4-7 mon weight. Across the table, it's Molly, who's been Ishan for a while, finally draws Tenpai, clears Ricci, and deals in with the 7 mon for 2,000 points. Plus Homba, of course. And we move to Riley's dealership, and, well, what do you make of this hand?
I look at this hand and immediately my eyes just start glowing with stars. I mean, is even considering the con here, although I would not con. I'm kind of adverse to cons unless I'm on a pretty massive tilt. But this hand could be obviously Honitsu a half flush, but if you draw the right middle tiles around that five, so you could even
Chi.
go a full Chinitsu, a full flush. I feel like as someone who plays a lot of three player, I feel like people go for half flush a little too often. You see people a lot of times going for half flush without good shapes that can be added to, and that pair of five so is what really makes me feel like pushing this hand for a half flush. Because anything you draw around those fives is going to create a new shape that is going to help you get to where you can call to Tempai, which is really what you need to do for a half flush, since you don't expect to draw all of those tiles yourself most of the time.
Yeah, and importantly, the Dora is the 8 so, which is in the Sozu suit. And so you can increase your value even more there. We do see two of those Dora tiles in the hand on the right, and that hand is approaching Tempai 2 tiles away for now. But if you could win this, it's going to be worth a lot. All the 9 so are gone. So it's going to be Ipeko 6, 7, 8, and the Sozu, as well as probably Pinfu and Tanyo as well with the Dora too. So chance for Mangan or even Haneman for Molly.
Yeah, and the acceptance is absurdly wide with that hand. We also see a high value hand on the left. I mean, that's a Itsu, a pure straight or a full straight. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in Manzu. Just the problem is one away from that, but has really bad shapes to get there.
Yeah, you need the 5 to finish that Itsu, but then you're stuck on this 8-9 shape that's awkward. And we see Molly discarding Alec discarding the 4 already, assuming that their final shape
Pump.
is going to be 1 through 9 in the Manzu. And a
Oh, and now
call
we have call for Molly on the Dora 8, so which really makes Riley not feel good. I mean, Riley had this complex pair weight on the 7-8 with the I'm sorry, could make a pair out of the 9 so by drawing either a 7 so or 8 so, but now that you see all the Dora gone, the only way you can complete that shape is a 7 so, and that makes it much, much less likely to finish. I don't expect Riley's hand to get to Tim Pie.
Yeah, this will be really difficult, and Molly's pushing hard. The problem for Molly is that you've got that 6-7-7 shape. You want a 5 or 8 to complete it, but the 5 has been called by Riley, and the 8 has been called by yourself. So there's only 2 tiles from your perspective that you could draw there to complete the sequence, and one of those is in Riley's hand. Now, of course, you could also use the 7 so as your pair, but that's the Dora indicator. And
So
so
there's only one of those left.
right. And the other side of that pair weight would be the 7 Mon, and one of those has already been discarded. So this is actually looking a little difficult too. And we see Molly already choosing to discard the 6 so.
Yeah, Molly obviously recognizing the troubles that you're pointing out. Riley, after I made that comment about Riley's hand not completing, Riley said, "Watch me," and immediately drew the 2-3 so. So is in a much better position now.
One tile away from Tempai, and it's Yoshi who is in Tempai, choosing not to declare Ricci because you're just waiting on the 1 pin and 5 pin, but 2 of the 1 pin are already discarded. So really, it's just the 5 pin, and that's such an awkward wait.
Tempai now for Riley, waiting only on the 7 so. There's one more in the wall, and then 2 in Molly's hand.
Can't foresee Molly choosing to discard those against what looks like Chinitsu.
Well, I don't know. If you draw, well, yeah, since you can see the Chinitsu there, you probably don't.
Also,
Although,
from Yoshi's perspective, it makes sense not to declare Ricci, not just because the weight is bad, but you're fighting against what looks like a dealer Mangan, and then the hand to your left is also a Mangan. So you don't really want to fight with no value against 2 hands that are guaranteed to have value.
well, you say that, but Yoshi did discard the Forso. I mean, Yoshi promptly discarded the Forso right from hand. That was a pretty quick Sumogiri, so
Well, we did see his name briefly flash red, so I wonder if that was a disconnect discard.
oh, that's possible. That those might have been aligned with each other, and I didn't realize it. Well, now Yoshi's weights are totally dead, so Yoshi is now K10. Well, I mean, Yoshi was already K10, but Yoshi now has no prospect of winning. Can you define K10 for us, Nathaniel?
Well, that's when you are trying to get to exhaustive draw without necessarily having a Yaku. You just want to be Tempai at the end of the hand so that you can earn some of the no-ten payments. And that's exactly what happens. Despite not declaring Ricci, Yoshi does manage to earn 1,500 points for making it to the end of the round while being Tenpai.
And since Riley was Tenpai as well, we're going to have another dealer repeat. A lot of dealer repeats at this table. Perhaps they're sensing that this is the last Hanchan of session 2 for pool B2B, and they really want to stretch it out, just make the fun last longer.
Well, I certainly don't mind watching this fun last as long as possible. And this hand is a little bit awkward for dealer. Might be a struggle to continue the streak because there's awkward Manzu shape and awkward. Well, the 246 Yankan, the double Kanchan shape, isn't bad, but these draws have been coming together pretty nicely. So we might see a continuous after all. To the right, you've got the Anko of 3 Mon in the Manzu, and you're drawing some more of those shapes in the Manzu, but still a lot of Kanchan shapes, like the 2-4, waiting on the middle 3 pin. That's a little bit awkward to fill. Across the table, we've got a hand that is 1 tile away from Tenpai, already with
Kang.
2 of the door 3 pin, although one of those might have to become discarded at some point in the future. So it's a con we see from Riley of the 5 pin, and Riley is now 1 tile away from Tenpai, waiting for a pair. So we say that this is a headless Ishanten. 1 tile away from Tenpai, but no pair.
And the new Dora is the 9 pin, which is being used, one of which is being used by Yoshi, and one of which is being used by Riley here.
So this does increase the value of Riley's own hand, but also Yoshi, who had the 2-3 pin Dora to begin with, oh no, had just chosen to discard the 9-7 shape and then draws the 8. Feels that like that happens all too frequently.
Yeah, I know that a middle tile is often more efficient than a pinchon, than something like an 8-9 or a 1-2. But is the same true for a terminal conchan? Was that Forso more efficient than the 7-9?
Well, it is the Kanchan weight 9-7 is slightly better than the Penchon 9-8 because you could draw a 6 so and make that 7 turn in that 7-9 shape turn into a 6-7 shape. Also, we're a little bit late in the hand. We're already in the second row. Usually, the swapping out those edge weights for a middle tile has a little bit more value for doing that early on, I think. In this case, you're still Ishan 10 with a reasonably wide weight. The ideal draw here would be just another Dora tile, but it's on the left, Alec, who finds Tenpai first. Well, I shouldn't say first, because actually Riley's there too.
And do we have a
Just
chase
read.
now? Yes.
Waiting on the Nobetan 6 pin 9 pin, where 9 pin is Dora, and this
So
would
a
be
perfect draw at the perfect time for Riley.
yeah, this would be a really valuable hand if Riley can win, even if it was just on the 6 pin, because of that. That con adds a lot of poo, which will increase the value drastically. To the left, the hand is Richi Pinfu with a Dora 3 pin and waiting on the 5-8 so.
Yeah, could have made a Sanshoku, a Sanshoku Doku, a mixed triple sequence, which people normally just sort into Sanshoku, even though it is not the only hand by that name, since it is far more common than the alternative. But that 1 pin was discarded earlier, so decided no reason to wait around for it now. Just take the Tenpai, take the Pinfu, and go.
Uh-oh, looks like
No.
Riley has drawn the tile and has declared reach, so this will deal in. Tenho is choosing to freeze it for us so that we don't get to see that deal in, which is a little unfortunate because I'm rather curious whether there would have been any Uradora found.
Now we're going to have to calculate it in our heads.
Oh my, mental math? Well, I don't
I
remember what the score was beforehand, so.
Yeah, you know what? Really should have taken note of that before the screen switched, but I didn't take note either. Nobody is like wildly ahead now, so maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
Oh,
If
look
it
at
was
all those
just
Yakuhai for Alec.
yeah, if it was just Reach Pink Dora, then that would have been 3,900 points plus Homba. And the 2 reach sticks, which is likely what the outcome was there. Across the table, Alec calls the Shah, has more calls to be made, and is already 1 tile away from Tenpai. Could potentially have Yakuhai, Yakuhai, Yakuhai as your value.
which is fun. I do believe in the player stat sheets that we have for all the players in the ARML. I do believe that would count as 3 separate instances of Yakuhai for the counter of how many times you get each Yaku, which would just be a really fun way to make yourself look make yourself look like a Pwncat. Like, look at all my Yakuhais. I am buried in dragons.
Now, there is a really interesting option for Alec. If he wants to get super greedy, he could discard 3-so, and think about making Honitsu on top of it.
Well, if you draw the north, if you draw the pay, I feel like that'd be a very natural decision to make.
Of course. And the question will be, if a dragon comes out and he makes that call.
Oh, there it is!
One thing we haven't mentioned, though, is that Adora is the white dragon. So you've already got a ton of value. You've already got Mangan with your two dragon calls.
I like this shift though anyway, because I mean, okay, let's say nobody ever discards Adora. You don't care. You still got the green dragon in the north. The north you definitely expect to come out, and it does. And now you can just win on the green dragon.
No,
it's
trouble.
Oh no!
This is going to be massive. So we have the 2 Yakuhai, the Honitsu, and the 2 Dora for Haneman, and Alec now commanding first place. Yoshi's got some work to do, but this is a good dealer hand to do so. You've got Pinfu type shapes, and you've got Adora. You're Ishanten already. Is there a chance for Sanshoku? There is, if you can make it 4, 5, 6, and Tenpai. So with a clear reach on the 3 mon, waiting for 3 pin, 6 pin, and if you get the 6 pin, you've got Richi, Pinfu, Dora, and Sanshoku. If you can sumo that, you'll have Haneman.
Yeah, that's winning. So the 6 pin in this case is called Takame. Whenever you have 2 sides of a weight that have, or not just 2, you could have any number of sides, and some of the sides are more valuable than the other. The most valuable side is called the Takame, and the less valuable side is called the Yasume.
Yeah, it kind of goes nicely with the Japanese words for expensive and cheap.
Which are?
Takai and Yasui.
Oh, okay. So
Takai's like tall, expensive. Yasui is cheap. Yasume would be the cheap end, and Takame is the expensive end.
And this is just such a this is just such a dangerous hand to have on turn 3. Very much making up for that dealing from a second ago if they're able to win this. I mean, that'd be 18,000 points as dealers, so they'd more than make up for it.
Oh, for sure. And, well, you see 1 6-pin across the table, 2 3-pins to the left, and 1 in hand. There's a 6-pin draw, but Molly's been playing very defensively, dropping the pair of West and White Dragon. So unlikely that 6-pin will come out. As it is, looking at the discards, if you were sitting at the table, you'd sort of be expecting it's a Pinzu weight.
Yeah, Riley is 1 away from 7 pairs. Has 5 pairs in hand just while trying to avoid dealing into this dealer Ricci, which is actually kind of what we see Molly's hand shifting towards as well. Although it's discarded 2 full pairs, so isn't going for it actively. But when you're discarding all your safe tiles and keeping the dangerous tiles, you just tend to end up with a bunch of pairs of dangerous tiles.
Yeah, really interesting seeing that 9-pin come out. I'd almost want to see the 3-so, as that is Suji. And also, you've got a backdoor Chinitsu if you can keep drawing Pinzu tiles. And we see pairs in the hand on the right as well.
Pair for Alec.
So everyone's making 7 pairs while defending.
So there's all of the 3-pin are out of the wall now. We can see every single 3-pin, and we can only see 2 6-pin. So the only tiles left in the wall for Yoshi are the Hanuman tiles.
Yeah, we expect that no one will discard it, so you'd be drawing it yourself, and it would be Hanuman. Takame dreams are alive.
1, 2, 3. All right, another pair drawn.
And that's Dora. That's Dora 5. So, but Molly doesn't really have a hand that can be pushed very easily.
Yeah, I mean,
shapes
Molly
in the
would have
Pinzu
a
aren't.
7 pairs if not for the 9-so Haku and Sha in the discards. But well, now we have 1 away again.
Oh, chooses not to take the ultimate safety. And wow, only 8 draws left and still 2 6-pin in there.
Who are they going to come to first?
There are 2 draws, and if you're sitting around the table, you might consider making calls so that you can dodge the dealer getting another draw. Unfortunately, it doesn't. No opportunity to do it there, but not drawn for
Oh,
Yoshi.
2 6-pin in the dead wall.
Oh, that is so sad. You won't
I
know
mean,
it when you're sitting at the table, but you sort of have the feeling that either someone had an Anko of those or they were sitting in the dead wall.
yeah, I mean, that's just absolutely tragic. To have such a fantastic comeback hand on turn 3 with such an amazing weight and then not to get it, that's really unfortunate. Because not only is it the misfortune of not drawing your tiles, but it's also due to the misfortune of nobody else having a good enough hand to push against you. You almost want someone to have a better hand so that they push. And now this is a very nice one away. They're going to discard the pair of 7-so to try and get an early tempi once again.
Choosing to keep the tiles closer to the edge because those tend to come out a little easier. Unfortunately,
Oh, man.
unfortunately, it backfires. You could have kept the 7-so as like a Suti trap as you'd already discarded the 4-so, but those choices there are always so hard, and they always seem to go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I would have picked the 7-so as well there. That 8-pin connects very nicely to the 5-6-7. So there's a lot of ways that 8-pin could actually become incorporated into a sequence rather than a pair.
Yeah,
So a
really
bit more
important.
efficient. And then the red dragons, of course, you would be able to call. So
It's a really good point, especially as we see the 3-pin being drawn and retained. This allows you to keep a Dora 4-pin in hand while finding Tempai as well.
a 6-pin is also very nice though.
Yeah, upgrade. Oh, we could have dropped the 3-pin there and still accepted the 4-pin for Tempai. This way is a little bit more awkward, I think.
Yeah, the 3-pin would have been a slightly more efficient play here. Although we are going to end up with a perfect Dishon. No, this isn't. Because the 8-pin was discarded, the no perfect Dishonten here.
Well,
You'd have to.
If
No,
you
it
think
is.
about,
It's a pair. What am I talking about?
yeah, if you think about the tune as a pair, then you've got your perfect Ishantem.
Oh, on the left though, we almost have an Itsu, and that's why there's so much lingering over this decision for Molly. I'd almost discard the 2 green dragons. I'd almost go Hatsu.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. Instead, choosing to discard the 5-7, starting with a 7, so that if you do draw the 4-pin, you can use it later. And is anybody else close across the table? That's 2 tiles away, and to the right, that is 1 tile away. With Ipeko, the 1-2-3 double sequence in the Sozu. And now you can choose the Nyankan weight, the double Kanchan weight, 3-5-7, or you can just hang on to your 4-5-5 shape.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another awkward one. I think I would have made the same decision here. I really like the Ryoncons because not just, I mean, they have as much tile acceptance as a Ryanman does, but more than that, discarding a Ryoncon is kind of the easiest way to end up at Furiton.
Yeah, that is a good point. And well, it pays off. You draw into Tempai here, and you can declare Riichi with Riichi King for Ipeko. And now Molly, fortunate she dropped that 5-pin early enough that she still has a tile of safety. Follow with a 3-pin. And still fight for Tempai. Where are the 3 6s? We see 3 6s in the hand across the table and 2 3s in others' hands. And a third 3. This is Tempai.
Oh, wow. Not taking the Tempai, though.
Yeah, you didn't draw. Maybe if you had drawn the 6 and were Tempai for a 3-sided weight for potential Itsu, then you would discard it. But as we can see, no red dragon has been discarded, so it feels a little scary.
Yeah, and Molly has been playing very solid defense so far. So not an altogether surprising play given what we've seen from her already.
And now that the red dragons come out, it's confirmed safe. You feel a little bit sad. This 3-mon doesn't fit Riley's hand. Riley also has a good hand that's 1 tile from Tempai and chooses to fight with those 3 Dora 4-pin in hand. It's understandable. Unfortunately, deals in for a 3,900 points And so the defense pays off for Molly. Now she finds herself in second place as Riley has dropped slightly below to move into South 2. This dealer hand is not looking good.
Yeah, just God, those shapes just so unfortunate. The 258. That's my least favorite holding to have in a suit is when you only have 3 tiles and they're all Suji to each other, either 147, 258, or 369. Not very much make me unhappy when I see that.
Yeah, two things. That shape and then the shape that's either all odds or all evens. Those are the ones that really frustrate you. But looking around the table, the hand to the left is looking very strong. You've already got an Ipeko chance in the Sozu and in the Manzu. So could we see Nyan Peiko
Oh, this is headed towards me on Peiko now.
drop the 4, and then you can draw a pair. If you can
Boom.
draw a pair in the Pinzu, then you've got a real chance at this.
So
Or you
Rion
just straight up draw
Peiko,
the 8.
as a note here, Rion Peiko is twice pure double sequence. So it's when you have 2 pure double sequences. So like 3-4-5, 3-4-5, and so, and then 6-7-8, 6-7-8, and Mon. That would be a twice pure double sequence. Rion Peiko, if you look at stats on Tenho and on Mahjong Soul or other common Mahjong platforms and see where they keep track of games, Rion Peiko is often, almost always, more rare than Suanko. More rare than 4 concealed
Jeez.
triplets.
There's
There it
Tenpai.
is! Tenpai for Rion Peiko!
We need the 8 mon. There's 2 left in the wall. The 5
And it
mon
was,
would also
it was
win,
just
but
discarded by Alec.
1
just barely getting saved there.
Well, I mean, Yoshi almost has to get Rion Peiko if they win this hand because all the 5 mon are in Molly's hand. There's only 1 5 mon remaining.
And how badly does the rest of the table want to fight against this?
Well, I mean, Riley has 2 Dora in hand.
And Ishantan now drops the safe 4 mon. If you're going to fight, you kind of have to fight with the 5-so or draw around that. And 5-so is on the Dora line, so that's the Dora Suji, 5-8. That's a little tricky, especially with a 6-so being the discard. Now your Tenpai, do you fight? Indeed,
Yeah,
that's the play.
this discards the 5 so.
So waiting on 6 mon, 8-so, and the only winning tiles left are the 1 8-so in the wall.
Yeah, because the other 2 6 mon are in Yoshi's hand.
Yeah, completely locked up there. And there's the 8th!
Whoa!
Oh, there's 1 comes out! The Nyan Peiko dreams are dashed, and we have instead Hatsu Dora 3 for Riley. Oh, that feels so sad for Yoshi there.
Oh god, that's incredibly painful. You had such a great weight. It's just everybody was sitting on those tiles, or not everybody was sitting on those tiles. Those 8 mon were lost in the wall, and then you had Molly sitting on all of the 5 mon. Just so unfortunate for such an amazing hand to go out that way. But I mean, that was also a very much amazing win for Riley hitting the Dora 3.
Yeah, we've already seen a Chankan in this match. I thought maybe we'd see another super rare Yaku in the Nyan Peiko. Instead, it's the more normal Dragon Dora 3, and it's Riley who's our dealer now in South 3. We're getting to the end. Wants to put a fight for first, is 15,000 points away. So you want a big sumo or you want a dealer continuance. In this hand, well, it's looking to be Pinfu. We're trying to make sequences here, and you do have a Dora, so that's a good start, as well as 4 Yamen shapes. Those double-sided shapes in the Manzu, 1 in the Manzu, 1 in the Pinzu, and 2 in the Sosu. To the right, we've got Tanyao type shapes with potential Ipeko 4, 5, 6 pin. Looks like we might be making Tanyao Dora 2 or Tanyao Ipeko Dora 2, as there are 2 8 mon in hand. It's Ricci across the table, though, with a Suji trap. Ricci waiting for the 1 mon and 8-so. And my goodness, the 1 mon looks super good here. As we can see, 2 of the 2 mon have already been discarded. 1 mon is actually kind of hard to use. And we might see it come out of Riley's hand. Now that Riley has the other 2 mon, the only way that the 1 mon could be the weight is if it was a Shampoo weight or a Tonki weight, which is the case here. And indeed, as Riley could see all of the one mons. It does come out, and Uda is found for 3,200 points for Super Yoshi. And when you can see all four of one tile, something like the Tumon in this case is sort of forming a wall or a kabe for the remaining tiles on the outside, and it makes that one look so safe when it's actually dangerous.
Pretty much all defensive strategy, not exactly all, but pretty much all defensive strategy has to do with avoiding two-sided weights, avoiding Ryamen weights, since pure efficiency will pretty much always lead you either to 7 pairs or a two-sided weight like that. So, like, specifically what makes the Kabe useful is that if you can see all four 2-peen, then that means there cannot possibly be a two-sided weight for the 1-peen. The 2-3 can't be in anybody's hands because you see all the 2s.
Exactly.
Even if you deal in, it's not going to be to Pinfu. So even if it does happen to deal into a Shanpon or something, it's often less valuable unless it incorporates a door.
All of these hands look amazing, especially the hands to the right and to the left, which are, well, the hand to the right is already Ishan 10. The left is getting close. Or, well, actually, I thought one of those tiles was another tile. So now we're Ishan 10. And hoping to make Pinfu, you're hanging on to that 2-pin because it's Dora, and you'd love to pair that up. In fact, if you do so, then you could even have a chance at a 6-7-8 Sanshoku if you discard the 6 and 9. So
Well, now we have Ishan 10 from Riley as well.
On the left, so this is also looking to be Pinfu.
Yeah, Alec with the slowest and least flexible hand here, which is kind of fortunate for Alec because Alec very much would have liked to just kind of quickly call it a Tanya or Yakuhai just to get this game over with, keep anybody from catching up.
It looks like the dealer is also Ishan 10, although there is a little bit less value here and a little bit more awkward weights.
Yeah, most of the value for Molly getting a win here would be the dealer repeat, trying to see another hand.
Interesting from Yoshi choosing to discard the 3-1 shape and is rewarded with the potential Ipeko in the upper Sozu, and really wants to use the Dora. Now almost has that Sanshoku as well, the 6-7-8 Sanshoku. You just need the 6-mon and you'll be set.
Yeah, and Riley's hand also improving in similar fashion. Just shifted the hand to be one away from Tanyao, is thinking about calling Chi on this 5-so, and does, accepts the Tenpai, waiting on the 4-mon or 7-mon. Winning here would not change their position, but would keep them above 30k. I mean, any sumo from anybody at the table would drop Riley below 30k. Pretty much any sumo from anybody at the table, and that is not a good outcome. So
yeah, in this league, being over 30,000 is really important as it guarantees a positive finish. And it's Ricci for Yoshi waiting for that 6-8. They didn't get, or sorry, 5-8. They didn't get the Sanshoku.
Oh, chase!
It's a chase from dealer Molly, has the beautiful 2-5-8 pin weight if you discard the 4-pin.
The San Minchan, as it is called. Oh, but
it's the cheap end for Riley, but they've accomplished their goal of finishing over 30,000 and picks up a couple of Richie sticks on top of that. So we'll go to the final score line. It's Alec in first, plus 33.8. Riley with a good finish there, plus 8.3. Molly, a little bit below 30,000, finds a negative 10.8. And it's Yoshi in fourth, negative 31.3. And wow, that was another thrilling match with some exciting hands. I'm still thinking about that beyond Peiko that wasn't meant to be.
So that was the final game for Pool B2B. So we could actually take a second here to look at the final standings for those for that pool, if we could get them up. I know they're on the right here. So we have ending Alec with those 2 really great wins at the end, pulled right up next to Carl, whose matches we saw on Monday. So now we have kind of a big jump between first and second and third. Third being at 73, and then Alec with that 123 after those 2 great games. We have a 50-point jump going from third to first and second. And then everything's a lot more tight from there. Just lots of little jumps from third, basically all the way down to 10th, 11th, 12th, where we start to get into the negatives. So this is going to be a very tight division going forward. But we see, as in almost all of the other pools, that we have two people that are kind of just not way above, but pretty well above, and two people who unfortunately have gotten hit a couple times and are pretty far behind. It should be noted that the only two people to not yet suffer a fourth place in Pool B2B are Carl and Alec, and they are the people in first and second. So, fourth place avoidance isn't going to carry you in a league like this, but it definitely helps if you're getting a lot of firsts, as they are.
Indeed, yeah. And that really is the difference, right? You avoid a negative finish, a negative 20 perhaps, and you get a positive 20 instead, and that's your 40-point difference between 50-point difference between you and Haru if you're in the case of Alec and Alec's seat. So, yeah. Congratulations to Carl and Alec for managing to go 2 weeks without finding a fourth place, and we'll see how long that can be held. There was a player in the inaugural Beta League who managed to go the entire length of the season without finding a fourth, and we'll see if that can be done today as well, or
Yeah,
in this season.
and that player was Lucas, who ended up having the highest point total out of anybody from the Beta League season, and obviously through that ended up winning their pool and participating in the league championship.
Indeed. Well, will we have another match? I believe there are a couple more games scheduled to be played. We might be joining one in progress.
Jump into the B1 match there with, let's see, everybody at this table. This is going to be Kristaps, Tristan, Jake, and Sichuan. Hiromi is who we are behind right now, although Dealer has a big lead here. I wonder what we're walking in on.
Yes, looking at Jake is Crow 77 and has not declared Ricci, but is Tempai for Ipeko and Dora. And across the table, it is, I believe that's
Ricci
Chris
waiting
Stapps.
on the 3-mon.
Yeah, Ruka. That's a Chitoy, 7 pairs hand. And there's a Suji trap on the 3-mon now that the 6-mon has been discarded. Decision for Shinomi on the left. Ishantem. 9-mon is Suji. You could start there. That is
we were
discarded, in
frozen.
fact. And now another decision to be made. Well, now this time you've got safe tiles, but you also kind of want to maintain your Ishan 10 because you've got Dora 3. Oh, and Tenho has decided to chop this up and make this even more exciting. Here we go. It looks like still Ishan 10 on the left. Still Tempai across the table and in front of us. And there's one 3-mon left in the wall. There are no 7-mon left in the wall for Jake. To the
Shiromi had the advantage here of being able to open, and is now also waiting on the 3-mon, so that's going to be a double round! We came in just in time!
Perfect, so reach 7 pairs will be Ura? No Ura. So that's only 3,200 plus the Ricci stick. And then Tanyao Dora 3 for Shinomi is going to be a Mangan. So this is going to drastically change the score. Jake was in first by a significant margin, and now only first by 5,800.
Yeah, so is now within reach of any player at the table. A Mangan Sumo isn't quite enough for Kristaps to overtake, at least not right now. It does have another dealer turn, and since it is Tristan's dealer turn currently, is in a very good position to make a play here.
Yeah, looking at Tristan's hand, this is really nice. Oh my goodness, the perfect draw, Tempai. And this gives Pinfu as well if you drop the 2-mon, and that's exactly what happens. So we're waiting 1-mon, 4-mon for Ricci Pinfu on the 4th discard. Oh, the 1-mon comes out immediately from Jake. He trusts Totogawa there, dropping the outside tile. And that's 5,800. So now there's a tie for first place between Jake and Shidomi
And
with Sichuan.
it should be noted that ties in ladder, usually the tiebreaker is seat order, so whoever is closest to first dealer, whoever had the earlier dealership gets the priority for ties, which kind of makes sense because in ladder you do not have a Gariyame, so if all first place all last dealer is in Tenpai or wins a hand while in first, that ends the game. So there's an advantage to dealing later on. But since we have no Agariyame here, we have the rule that if there is a tie, they split their Uma. So currently, the plus 15 and a plus 5 would be split into a plus 10 and a plus 10 for Shiromi and Jake.
Mm-hmm.
1、
And well, is this Tenpai on the right waiting for just Sanzo, the 3, but not declaring reach because Ruka understands that
リーチ
there's potential for a better way. Unfortunately, it's Shidomi who finds Tenpai first. Well, rather, declares reach first with 3 Dora. This is Richi, Tanya, Dora, 3, waiting on the 5-pin, 8-pin. And that so early, there is potential to Dama and try to trap somebody into discarding that unsuspectingly. But the
ポン
Richi allows you the option to make Hanemon here. And
Yeah, well, and now we have Krobe getting Tenpai waiting on the 1-peen, 4-peen, with a much less valuable hand to go figure.
yeah, but the 4-pin is safe to the Richi, so if anybody was to draw it, it might seem safe enough to discard. Oh, and there's the 1-pin by Shidomi. That beautiful Tanyao hand ends up not winning, and we go into all last. The tie is broken.
As often happens, even though Shiromi had several more tiles in the wall with 4 1-peen and 4-peen already being discarded, that's just how the tiles flow sometimes. But everybody's still very, very tight here.
Yeah, now it's incredibly close in all last. Everyone has a chance, and it is Ruka who's got the dealership and can continue even with a small victory. Has one of the Dora 9 so and a lower Sozu shape as well. So you could potentially make Itsu here. Other than that, you're just hoping to find Richi with the Dora. To the right, wow, look at all those Tanyao tiles and potential for Ipeko or Pingfu as well, if not just the straight up Tanyao. And of course, at 30,600 points, you want to finish over 30,000, but you also want to pass up Jake, so you might fight for a little bit more than just Tanyao. Across the table, it's Jake who's got a pair of the 9 so, choosing not to call the discarded 9 so and go Atozuke, waiting for the Haku to come out, the white dragon. Instead, hangs on to that pair of Dora tiles and now draws a pair of green dragons. So there's potential to just call one of these dragon tiles or even both and make it to the end with a first place confirmation.
Yeah, literally everybody at this table incentivized to push for fast hands as long as they can get 2 Han out of it. A couple people could accept 1 Han, but I mean, in front of us, obviously, Kristaps needs to get above 30k. Shiromi needs to stay above 30k. Crow needs to protect first, and then
Boom.
on the left, oh, is that Tenpai now?
That is
Waiting.
Tenpai. The door did come out and called the second time. Now that you've got the Yakuhai waiting for 2 so 5 so, this is a Mangan.
Yeah, if you sumo this, you drop everybody below 30k, and since your Uma would go from plus 15 to plus 20, that would be massive.
Indeed. So sumo or direct hit on Shidomi would not only net you the 5,000, not only net you your Mangan, but also an extra 5,000 points. You do not get greedy here and think about drawing another tune.
As much fun as it would be.
You've already discarded one anyway, and it's Tenpai as well in the hand to the left. 2-5 Mon is the weight for just Tanya.
Oh, and that's going to be the one that wins. And since they won directly off the dealer, that's going to be a tie.
It's a tie.
They're going to split Uma for third and fourth.
Well, I'm glad you described the tie rule because it comes into play. And so
now, hold on. I'm gonna do some quick mental math here. If they had not won that 1,000 points, they would have been at 26,100 and in third place with a -5. So that would have been a -9. Oh, right. Tenho's not going to show us the correct Uma here.
That's right here. So the scores on Nintendo won't necessarily reflect the actual standings, and we'll take a look at that perhaps later. It is Crow who finishes with plus 20, and Shidomi who finishes plus 5. And then the score that we see here is not perfect.
Yeah,
Um,
it's minus 12.9 for both Tristan and Kristaps. So actually, I wonder if they knew the tie rules because calling the wrong on dealer there dropped their Uma, even though it changed their position since they went from -5 to -10 by increasing their position. It hurt them, which is really, really wild. I mean, you don't expect that, but
well, they were in fourth, right? So they were going to earn
oh, you're
negative
right.
15. But
I'm thinking
I
backwards.
still wonder. I believe in normal rules they would have finished in third place. So they perhaps thought they were going to earn a little bit more than they will actually end up.
Nah, you're
So,
absolutely right. I got totally twisted up there, thinking that they were the other player. How could third run fourth and then tie with fourth? I don't know what I was thinking.
well, as it is, it's an incredible victory for Jake, who had that massive lead, faltered a little bit, but then pulled it back with plus 20, and so this will, I'm sure,
well,
increase
and
the
this
lead. Jake was in first place, right?
yes, well is in first place now after that win.
Great. And so big win for Jake and for, let's see, who finished second there? That was
Jerome.
Shidomi. So for Sichuan, that also will push them forward a little bit. And well, in this table, there are 3 of the top 5 players now. So this is quite a battle. A lot at stake here. And it looks like we'll have another game starting in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, we have first, third, fifth, and 20th in Pool B1.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you're in, say, Jake's position, battling your closest competitors. It's an opportunity to not only increase your own score and advance yourself even further ahead of the other players, but also you're lowering one of the scores of your direct competitors as well.
Yeah, and since this is Pool B1, so pools A1, A2, and B1 are all going to have 24 Hanchan this season, with the sixth session, rather than being a round robin session, being a positional based round where you fight people who are also in your kind of fighting for the same spots. So it's very likely we could see a lot of these players facing each other again at the end if they're able to stay up in the top 8 together.
Indeed, and I believe if you visit the American Ricci website, the exact seating for that is described there as well, americanricci.org. It will be really exciting to see exactly how that plays out once we reach that sixth section, that final 2-week period.
Yeah, and as long as we're talking about URLs and things, don't forget to hit subscribe here on Twitch. With obviously, if you're watching, you see that we are American Ricci, or perhaps if you're watching on YouTube, find us on Twitch at American Ricci. Our YouTube channel is, I believe, a tiny URL / American Ricci, and then we're also on Twitter, and I believe it is at American Ricci on Twitter.
Yeah, for YouTube, you can do tinyurl.com/ARMLYT for ARML YouTube. And you can also find the YouTube channel from the website as well. There are all the links to Twitter and Twitch and YouTube as well are all on americanricci.org. And well, we're into the next game. It is Kristaps, who it finds the first dealership, has some awkward shapes, but a door in hand. We'll be hoping to pair that up, as well as Yemen and the Manzu and the Pinzu. Completing those shapes would be good. To the right, we've got more Kanchan shapes to fill. It is a bit awkward here, and now 3 pairs. This hand looks a little slow. Across the table,
We have Ishanten, a very nice little Ishanten here.
yeah, this is hopefully going to be Pinfu if you can draw a pair. Oh, well, there's your pair, and you'll note that that south wind
1
is not the seat wind, and it is not the round wind, so that is a non-value pair, which means we do have Pinfu here. Ricci, Pinfu, waiting for the 5 and 8 pin. Looks like 7 of those tiles are in the wall, so good sumo chances.
Oh, and there's one of the 18.
Mm,
Yeah, we're probably going to see people drawing them at speed here with so many.
yeah, bailing for Tristan on the left. And it looks to be the same for Kristaps below. To the right, that hand was a little bit awkward and sort of remains so. So it seems everyone has incentive to fold here. Nobody really has anything to fight for.
Which Jake is more than okay with. With such an incredible weight, you really expect to sumo. So seeing everybody folding makes you more than happy. Although that 7-so draw is definitely going to attempt Shiromi.
Yeah, would have had
Sumo.
Tempai kept the early one mon, but instead it's Sumo, Lich, Sumo, Pinfu, no Ura. So just a 2,700 point hand, but that's not a bad start for Jake, who also won first place in the last game, so looking to just keep the momentum going. The dealer of this hand looks bad. Not bad, I should say. You've got Yamen shapes in the Suzu and the Manzu, potentially even Itsu in the Manzu. To the right, though, it's a quick call from Jake, who just wants to keep this game going. 2 tiles away from Tempai, but can easily call one of those shapes.
So here's a question about Crow's hand on the right. So has very good shapes. So even without a lot of value, we can see why that Hatsu, that green dragon, would get called. But do you think it? Let's change one of the Ryanmen. Let's change that 2-3 Ryanmen to a 2-4 Kanchan in the Pinzu. Would you still take that Hatsu call?
1
And does the fact that you're skipping the dealer's turn incentivize you to do so?
I think so. It depends on some more factors like relative point positioning and how easily usable the door is and how the other players are discarding. But in this particular situation, if everything was the same with the 2-4 instead of 2-3, I think I'm still inclined to do it. A lot of times you wait a little bit longer if your shape is bad, or if you don't have the proper shapes at all. Avoid pass the first dragon, call the second one if it comes out, and hope that by then your shapes have improved. Because even if you can't complete those shapes, you could find yourself
1
in a little bit of a weak position against a Ricci. And actually, that's exactly what we see here. Jake has not found Tempai yet, and now with 2 calls has to somehow defend against Kristaps, who's declared Ricci, waiting on the 1-so and the 4-ban, where the 1-so is Dora. So you are in a vulnerable position here, and there's 2 ways of thinking about it. You could either try to desperately defend with the tiles you've got, or you could just go full attack and hope that your hand can get there first. Fortunately, here's a chance for Tempai, and will Crow take it?
1
Jake does take the Tempai, so choosing to fight instead of trying to defend with what little was left in hand.
Oh,
相
but it's going to be a sumo for Kristaps.
That's
On the
it.
Dora, no less.
And that bails Jake out. And there was a chance for Hanuman with Ura, but that is not found. Instead, just a Mongon. But a Mongon you're very happy to see if you are in Kristaps' position. We move to Jake's dealership, and this is very nice. You've got the Anko of 9-pin to start with, a good shape in the Manzu, Yamen in the Pinzu, and a Yamen shape in the Sozu with a Dora in hand. So this could be potentially a valuable hand if you could pair up another of those Dora 3-so. To the hand on the right, potential Itsu in the Manzu. Other than that, you're looking at probably a Pinfu or just a Ricci. With that 2-4 shape, now you're probably going to want to incorporate the Dora 3-so as well. Across the table, you have a pair of East Wind, and so you're probably thinking about calling that and making a fast hand, especially since you're in first place and you have a door tile already, and reasonable shapes elsewhere. To the left, we've got, well, 5, 6, 7. 7, 8 shape is really nice, but the overlapping 5, 6, 8, 9 so shape, both of those shapes require a 7-so. So you're thinking you need to draw 2 of those, or perhaps just discard one of those overlapping shapes. We'll wait and see what else gets drawn before making that decision, of course.
And Jake pulled in a 6-so and promptly discarded the 4-so to take an Ishanten with a pair of the Dora. and now drew another 6-so. So now has a perfect Ishanten with having a pair, a Ryanman, and then Ryanman pair. Although we do have Tempai on the 1-so and 4-so for Kristaps across the way. We'll see if Crow is able to get into Tempai fast enough to fight this. Discarding the 6-so now, thinking that it'll be more dangerous later, although that's not exactly the case, as Kristaps is already Tempai.
But it is a good point. We are reaching the second row, and that 6-so is in the same Suji line as the 3-so, which is the Dora tile. So if someone was to declare reach, you don't really want to be fighting against that by discarding the 6-so.
Oh, and there's Tempai.
Declares reach, waiting on the 5-8-so for Ricci Dora 2, which will be worth quite a lot of points. Oh,
yeah.
The 6, but you wouldn't have expected to win on that.
Yeah, and this puts Kristaps in a very awkward position. I mean, basically has to push here. Had no save tiles on the first round and had to toss out the frightening 4-mon.
Yeah, 7,700 pickup would be great for Crow here. This would put Jake in first place.
Oh, and I was going to ask whether Kristaps might fold now that the 5-pin was safe, but does not even have to think about it. Just draws the 1-so and sumos.
And so this is great. Chance for Kristaps to advance, make up some of the points from the last game, and it's Tristan's dealership now with Adora included in a completed Pinzu shape, a completed Manzu shape, and a Kanchan in the lower Pinzus. So there's some opportunity here if you get some good draws for an early Ricci. To the right, well, that hand does not look like it's going to be an early Ricci. We have some work to do there. Across the table, there's a chance to incorporate the Dora, but this hand's also looking slow. And on the left, this is perhaps the best looking hand at the table. We've got a nice 2, 3, 4, 5 shape in the Pinzu, a Yamen shape, double-sided weight in the lower Sozu at 2, 3, and some reasonable shapes elsewhere. That Penchan, the Kanchan are a little bit hard, but outside of that, you're only 2 tiles away from Tempai, so definitely the lead except for the dealer hand.
Yeah, Tristan definitely having the best looking hand here. I mean, I really has 2 shots at Itsu here. Draws the 2-pin.
So kind of shading towards the full straight 1 through 9 in the Pinzu. You do need to find a pair. And we might see that pair come from that 4, 5, 6, 7 Nobetan shape, except we see 2 of the 4s have already been discarded, so perhaps not.
Ooh.
This is Tempai if you
discard. But if you discard the 8-pin, you have a very wide Ishanten that still gives you... All right, so it's going Dama. I don't know about this. I feel like if you decide you're going to take the Kanchan, well, but this is so improvable.
Yeah, you have a lot of Manzu draws. Oh no, this is a little bit painful. Draws the pair in the Manzu as well, but if you kept the 9, then you'd have an Itsu chance with Pinfu and Dora as well. As it is, it's a Shampong weight. 8-pin, 7-mon. One of either of those tiles has been discarded. So one of each left in the wall. And call on the left for Jake, going for Tanya now. Tempai for the 2. Wait, that's not Tempai. You are missing the 4. The 4-so, or the... But open for Tanya here.
And yeah, it looks like neither Kristaps or Shiromi are going to be able to really fight this. Weren't able to progress their hands enough to do anything meaningful here.
Yeah, unfortunately for those 2, it looks like folding is the order of the day.
Which is especially unfortunate for Kristaps, who had 2 of the Dora 7-pin.
Yeah, there is a chance that they can find themselves back in Tempai. If they could perhaps draw a 4-pin, discard 1-pin, 1-pin, or even 2-so, 2-so, which is Suji now. Seems like a reasonable path to Tempai.
Yeah, Jake just did a very nifty Mawashi there. Discarded the 5-so from hand, accepted the 3-so Pon, discarding the second 5-so, both of which were confirmed safe in Tristan's discard pile. as is the one so was able to very, very cleanly maintain Tempai there.
Well done by Jake to earn an extra 1,500 points. And it is really awesome to see players finding a way to make even a small amount of points out of what would normally be a very defensive situation. So well done there. And it's Tristan who gets to maintain the dealership. This hand's looking not too bad. You've got 3 pairs, and well, you have the chance to incorporate Dora now. So hoping to make Ricci or potential Ipeko in the Sozu. To the right, we've got a fairly standard Pinshu type hand. You've got a Dora tile that you want to build around with that 8-mon. Across the table, the Hatsu pair might indicate that Shinomi is looking for a quick hand, although this hand is pretty close to Tempai already. You only need a couple draws. To the left, we've got, well, now this one looks really nice for Pifu and, of course, your standard Ricci on top of it. We might end up seeing that 1 and 3-mon get discarded if you continue to draw Yamen shapes in the Sozu and Pinzu.
And Tristan here electing to discard the 3-peen rather than say the 9-so or the Hatsu, which I'm not sure what the technical more efficient choice would be. I'm a big fan of the 3, 5, 6, 7 shape, and you're still able to accept the 7-so even if you discard the 9-so. It's just you have less options for your pair. You'd kind of be stuck with the north as your pair in that case.
If you hang on to the 3-pin there, you can think of it as a 3-5 shape and a 6-7 shape. So kind of making 2 shapes out of what is 1. But in any rate, it turns out that by not discarding the Hatsu, Shiromi had the chance to, well, not call it and ended up drawing it themselves. So now this is a really nice looking Ishantem for Shiromi, who did discard Dora.
Chi.
And does choose to
There's a
call.
call
So Tempai now waiting on the 5-pin, 8-pin.
for Hatsu only.
And, well, it looks like...
And a 5-peen, there are situations in which a 5-peen could come out of Jake's hand, but is pretty unlikely. It looks like the more likely Pinzu to drop out of that hand would be like the 2-peen or the 7-peen.
Right. And even if the 8 is drawn... Oh, well, there's a call. So really wanting to use the Dora from Crow's perspective, it looks like.
And that is something that we notice a lot in the higher level play you're watching, especially in this Akanashi, since we don't have any red 5s. Oh, no. Yeah, now the 9-so drops and Tristan in a bad holding here.
Yeah, Tristan's hand looks really nice with a chance for 6, 7, 8 Sanshoku and the Ipeko, but you're probably dropping the 5-pin if that happens. So now decision time. Could just throw the 8 back, or you could try to think about the 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku instead and choose to discard North North. You'll get Tanyao this way, but we are getting late in the game.
Yeah, only 2 more draws for Tristan here. Or I guess 3 more before I said that. Now 2.
Yeah, and you need to draw 2 tiles now for Tempai. It is Jake on the left who found the Tempai, drawing the 7-mon, waiting for the 6. And with 2 tiles left, is there one to come out? There's still... No, all of them are in hand. Doesn't look like either player wants to discard. So as we hit our final discard, it looks like Tristan will not find Tempai, but in not finding Tempai, managed to also not deal in.
So honestly, well,
I think dealing in
monetary
was actually less
value-
expensive than
Yeah.
going to Ryukyoku.
Although in both ways you lose your dealership, so I guess it's 6 of one dozen, half of another in that case.
Yeah, in this case, we move on then to the south round, and it's Kristaps who's got a door in hand and some good shapes. Chance for, well, there's an outside chance for some type of Sanshoku, perhaps 3, 4, 5. Oh, after that 7-pin draw, maybe a little less so. But you do have a decent Pinshu type hand. To the right,
Well,
we've got
a
an
lot of
uncle.
pairs there.
Yeah, you've got the uncle as well. So you could think pairs or even making sets like Toy Toy. With the shapes, though, it actually looks like a really normal hand, just making reach, having the
Perhaps
5-6 shape and the 5-5-6 shape.
yeah,
It
one of
really,
those hands that you end up with where you call it's a Ricci only hand that has two triplets in it, and you're just looking at it like I really feel like this should be special, but it's not.
yeah. Across the table, this hand is looking pretty good too. Chooses to discard the 9 from the 9977 shape. But we could see a reach or even a Pinfu here as well. Or even an Itsu in the Manzu, full straight 1 through 9. Decides against that though, looking to make perhaps or just go a different direction. We're Ishan 10 though.
Right, keeping that very efficient four. And if you're able to draw around that four, you have multiple different ways that you could go for a Sanshoku, since you have the 3 4 5 6 in the show and the 2 3 4 5 in Mon.
Rather, we weren't quite Ishan 10, but with it 8 so there was a chance to go that direction. Chose not to take it. And on the left, we've got, well, trying to make Tanyao here, potentially Ipeko even in the Pinzu, the 4-5-6 sequence.
There are four pairs, so if nothing else, we could always end up Chitoy. And now Kristaps has a headless Ishanten that could end up being an Itsu.
Yeah, you pair up one of those Bonzu tiles and you get the 6 so, and you'll have that full straight, which would be really valuable as dealer with the Dora.
Especially since if your final weight ends up for the pure straight, you will also end up with Pinfu. So you'd end up with like a Ricci Pinfu. Oh, now our weight just got even wider. I mean, this is an absolutely ridiculous headless Ishanten. I mean, we're Tempai on 1 2 3 4 Mon. We're Tempai on 1 2 4 5 3. Yeah, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So
Yeah, so many tiles that you can draw here. You even had to pause to look at the keeping the 5, 6, 7, 8 Nobetan weight. Shows against it though. And that 8 pin does get called by Tristan, who's looking to make Tanyao. Now just Tanyao. More pairs drawn to the right.
yeah, in general, headless Ishantens are going to tend to be more efficient than other weights.
Yeah, there's so much flexibility in how your hand can develop from that position.
And we have Tempai across the way for Jake now, waiting on the 3 Mon or 6 Mon.
Each.
Oh, but that is going to be Tempai for the Itsu, so the 3 Mon not going to come out of Kristoff's hand. This is Ricci, Pinfu, Dora 1, with the possibility of Itsu if we went on the Takame 6 so.
Yeah, Jake actually doesn't have a Yaku here, so was probably hoping to just make Tempai at the end. Now has to worry about defending. The 7 actually deals into the left for that Tanyao hand, and this tightens things up. The scores, Kristaps had that lead, is now only at 34,000. So we move to South 2.
Several times tonight, we've seen very expensive hands lose to one-han hands. In this case, the one-han hand was boosted by a couple Ricci sticks and a couple Honba, but still, the Tanya will end it all, as someone says somewhere. Don't know who.
Yeah, I think this dealer hand could use a little bit of work too. We got a Dora, and that 5 pin is a nice pickup. We need more draws like that. To the right, we've got a Tanya looking hand, and
And
across
then
the
across the
table,
table, we have a Honitsu, and so
yeah, that south is Yakuhai, as it is the round wind. And you've got callable tiles, so we'll see how many Sozu Crow chooses to discard.
could even ditch an early one so if you wanted to try and obscure this Honitsu a little bit. Although I think at this point it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, Sumokiri, that instant discard of the 5-mon kind of gives it away, and drawing that Shun pair is really nice as well.
Does elect to discard the one so before the Haku or the Hatsu.
Yep, doesn't quite fit the hand as you've got enough shapes to work around it. And this is one tile away from Tempai. And speaking about getting close to Tempai, Shidomi has actually worked their way one tile away as well. Problem is you really need an 8 so, and 3 of those are locked in the hand across from you.
which you might be suspecting at this point.
Mm-hmm. And that begs the question: if you think that's the case, do you drop the 9 so and eventually the 7 so and try to make Tanyao? And that's exactly what happens. So
Chi.
d7, feeling
Yep,
that would be more dangerous in the future. So you want to get rid of it now.
just a little bit of Sakagiri.
Yep. And then the 9. And now you've got the white dragon, which isn't safe either, but
And that's 6. Not actually all too helpful for Tristan.
no, it does give you some options, but oh no, drawing another 7 isn't good.
Oh yeah, this puts you into Furitan. A Furitan Shempon wait on the 3 so and 7 so.
Yeah, but after seeing the hand across the table, discard the Haku, you think, well, they might be Tempai now. They're overflowing some of their honors.
Yeah, and this is actually an easy Furitan to miss. When you can't directly see the tile that you discarded in your pawn. Pawn.
Yeah,
I just said that really
yeah,
weird.
in your pawn because it was called to the right.
So this is something that you really have to look out for, and Jake even holding 2 of the 3 so. So this, I mean, there's only 1 7 so left in the wall for Shiromi to draw here to win. Oh,
There it
no more
is.
now. Shiromi's weight now totally dead. Gotta discard the 7 pin here. The 4 pin deals in.
It doesn't do that. The 7 pin had just come out, so good decision by Shiromi. If you have the opportunity to play safe, you should.
And now we have the 3-6 weight for Tristan, who finally gets into Tempai. The 3s obviously are also weights for Jake and Shiromi. The 7 though, wait, it was
Yeah, that
3
weight was a
6,
little
7
wider
weight.
because of the 8 so Anko there. 3 7 8, and that deals into Yakuhai Honitsu for a Mangan.
Yeah, I totally missed the 7 so as a winning tile there.
That really dangerous draw for Shiromi had drawn the 5, and there were so many ways to find Tempai, and all of them dealt in except for the 5, which was looking extremely scary. Well, we move to Jake's last dealership in South 3, has a door in hand, but awkward shapes elsewhere. To the right, we've got potential Itsu and the Manzu, and really good shapes too. So this hand could be the one to watch out for. Across the table, we've got a pair of South, which would be Yakuhai, and an Anko of 7 pin, Anko of 3 pin. Well, let's put a marker on that one as another hand to watch out for. If you can draw 3 of those completed sets, then, well, that's San Anko, and that's worth 2 Han. To the left, we've got Shiromi, who has the other pair of Souths, so, well, that puts a damper on the San Anko plans. And, well, what are we looking at here? Is this a possible Chanta?
Yeah, I think now it is. You're kind of going back and forth between whether you go for Chanta or Itsu. I think that decision was made with the 4 pin drop. Going for Chanta, I mean, really needs value here. Wants to keep the Dora 9 so, wants to keep the Yakuhai South, but you don't want to have to open your hand because you're so far behind. So the best way to do that is to keep the South as your pair and just create the half outside hand. We do have the Ricci now from Tristan, who had that very efficient hand, and an incredible weight here, a 2 3 5 so weight.
For Ricci, Pinfu, if you can get the 2 or the 5. Ricci only if you get the 3.
I believe this fancy way is called a Riantanki. Is that right?
I could see that because you've got the Yanmen weight and also the Tanki weight, so you just kind of combine the 2 together and make a Yan Tan. That sounds fun.
Riantan. I think that's where you ended. I don't think you say the key. I think it's just Riantan.
It's funny, the 9-mon, or a little sad, I guess, that the 9-mon came in right after the Ricci. Otherwise, you would have had, well, I guess it's 2 tiles after the Ricci because the first discard was called. You would have had the Ipeko as well in the 7 8 9, but you never, of course, predict that that's going to happen. You want to take your value when you can.
Yeah, especially being in first place, you want to create every little bit of distance that you can when you have such an incredible weight that is so likely to win. I mean, there's now I'm trying to count. We see
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
eight left.
8 tiles discarded, so 4 left for a
Yeah,
3-sided weight.
4 in the wall, and they could still
Mhm.
come out of people's hands, although that is unlikely. Perhaps the most likely would be the 3 so out of Crow's hand, because it does look like that Kristaps is folding across the
Yeah,
way
it
here.
does look like Crow's folding as well, so Kristaps had called the 1, 2, 3 to break Ipatsu, but it is Ishan 10, so if the South would
1
come out, maybe would fight for it.
Although we do see that that's unlikely to happen, and Shiromi no longer caring about value. You can see that you're not going to
1
win this hand. You can see dealer's not going to be Tempai, so you just want any points you can get.
Yeah, finds Tempai right before the last discard and will earn an extra 1,500 points for the troubles. So
Yeah,
well done.
and that's very fortunate because since you were Tempai as well as the Ricci player, you drag the dealer down to be in a very easy sumo to get below 30k. So even if you're not able to take over third place, which is kind of a long shot at this point, you can still drop Crow and net yourself 5,000 points in Uma, going from the -20 to the -15.
Right. If all the other 3 players are above 30,000 and you're in fourth below 30,000, you lose 20 points from Uma. But if one other player is down there with you, then you only lose 15. So you can minimize the damage. Well, the dealer's hand here is looking really nice, only 2 tiles away from Tempai. Although the value isn't really there. If you can draw the 3 mon, you're looking at Pinfu.
I
And
mean,
if you draw the east, that of course is your wind.
there's so many nice hands at this table. I mean,
ポン
on
Actually,
the
since that
right,
east is your wind, you would be getting Pinfu. Yeah, on the right, that's already Tempai for Dora
and
3 and Haku.
now we have a headless Ishanten across the table that includes a possibility for Sanshoku, although you'd have to make one sideway move before a Tempai to do so.
Oh, danger for Tristan. Drop the 4 mon. The 2 mon is probably going to follow.
Is that enough?
ドン
Oh, the white
Yep.
dragon! The white dragon is
It's
Dora.
Dora. So that will be
Oh,
an
that's a
overtake.
huge hit.
And that actually drops Bird up Tristan below 30,000, so that helps Shidomi as well. So in the
Oh
end, it
wow!
is Kristaps who finishes plus 26.9. Jake doing nothing there in that hand, plus 5.2. And Tristan, negative 5.4. Unfortunately, dealing in at the very end with such an early wait, it was hard to read. And then Shidomi finishing fourth, but with minimal, a little bit less damage, negative 26.7.
And so, as far as the overall standings go, this does end up Crow with that plus 5.2 continues to hang in first. Shiromi dropped down a bit, was in third, is now in fifth. Tristan also dropped just slightly, lost just enough points to stay 1.2 points behind Shiromi in the overall standings. So now they are first, fifth, and sixth at that end of the table. And Kristaps, with that big win, got into 19th place and has begun to crawl back up the standings to avoid demotion into B2.
And of course, we are only in session 2. We still have 4 sessions to go. So there is lots of time to crawl your way back up. And well, lots of time for Jake to try to remain first. You can't just be satisfied with your first place after 2 sessions. You got to keep climbing up there. So we'll continue to watch as this division has a few more games to go before it's completed. But we will eagerly await the future matches and see how this situation develops.
And all right, we have covered for Hanchan here. I do not. There are no more games currently ongoing, so I believe that's probably going to be it. Unless you have anything else you wanted to go back and look at, Nathaniel.
No, I think, yeah, with that being the last game, that'll probably be the end of our coverage as well.
So thank you everybody for joining us here, for watching along, and for those watching in the future. If you are watching this VOD, especially if you're one of the players trying to get insight into the things happening at your table to learn from. That's one of the best parts of having all of these VODs. I find it's incredibly useful to go back and watch your games, as long as they don't make you cry too much. Although none of these players, I think, are probably apt to tilt as much as I do. So they're probably in a perfectly good place to learn from them rather than sob.
I know that
And
I certainly have gone back to VODs. In fact, one where you were the commentator and cried a little bit, but only just a little bit, and spent the remaining time learning from my mistakes.
you know what? Just a little bit of tears. That's perfectly okay. We can deal with a little bit of tears. That's just the salt that spices the game of mahjong. But as it is, we've seen a lot of great play tonight, and we look forward to. I believe our next broadcast is going to be on Friday. So once again, before we sign off here, just a reminder: follow on Twitter at American Ricci. We can go to the YouTube is tinyurl.com/ARMLYT. And then obviously follow us here on Twitch. And Nathaniel, thank you very much for commentating with me. And Josh, thank you very much for being our broadcast director. None of this would work without the broadcast directors putting in the work behind the scenes. So we want to make sure to call out them as much as we can. And thanks to all of you who have joined us tonight. See you later on this week. And this will be the ARML signing out. Have a good night.